it's becoming harder and harder to tell what's real and what's not online, thanks to hyper realistic deepfakes and synthetic content generated by AI, all of which we've highlighted as a problem many, many times. Well, it turns out leading AI companies, even some AI rivals, are coming together to at least make some type of attempt to address this problem. In the last couple weeks, Meta, OpenAI, and Google have announced that they're going to join companies like Microsoft, Adobe, and others in embracing something called content credentials, which is a technical standard for media provenance from C2PA. Now, C2PA is a standards organization. The name stands for Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. And this organization is bringing together these companies and leaders to work on ways, with over 100 companies so far, to identify where content actually came from online. So the C2PA standard, which is named after the organization, basically gives publishers and companies the ability to embed metadata into media to verify that media's origin. So this metadata could be used to see, for instance, if an image was created with an AI tool when you view the image online. For example, you can now view additional metadata in any image generated by ChatGPT using DALL-E 3 or the OpenAI API, and it'll actually tell you, okay, this was AI generated, here's what tool it came from, and a bunch of other information. Now, it turns out as part of this process, Meta appears to be trying to go one step further. So the company said that it's already using metadata to label images that are created with its Meta AI tool, but now they're, quote, building industry-leading tools that can identify invisible markers at scale, specifically the AI-generated information in the C2PA and other technical standards being used, so that we can label images from Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, Adobe, Midjourney, and Shutterstock as they implement their plans for adding metadata to images created by their tools. Now, this might seem a little technical or esoteric here, but really what they're trying to do is come together to have a joint standard and effort to actually label AI-generated content online and actually detect when those labels exist, presumably, at least in Meta's case, to be actually able to regulate how those images and eventually video and audio show up on their platform. So I want to kind of first take a step back here, Paul, and just ask, like, why now? Why are these companies devoting resources to this, given everything else they're working on?
Like we've talked about on the show so many times, I mean, my biggest concern for near-term AI misuse is disinformation, misinformation, synthetic content, because the average citizen has no idea AI is capable of doing these things. And so you see an advancement like Sora, and it's
Mhm.
incredible, but it's just one step closer. Even if, like, when you watch the videos on Sora, you have to have a trained eye or be looking for the breakdown in the laws of physics. Like, it's not obvious right away that things aren't working right. The person who's looking for it can easily say, "Oh, okay, that totally isn't real." Like, obviously, that the thing went from 5 fingers to 6 fingers and then back to 5 fingers in, like, a blink of an eye, but it happened. That's The average citizen isn't gonna do that. Like, they're just gonna see something, everything is in shorts now, like, they all just, like, quick videos of everything, and you're not gonna stop and process, was that real or not? So, all of these companies are aware that the things they're building will be misused and are being misused, and the more advanced they become, like advancements like Sora, um, the more likely it is that this is gonna become a major problem in society.
So this seems like, in my opinion, at least initially, a good faith effort to address issues with deepfakes and synthetic content, largely through smarter engineering, which is awesome. But realistically, like, how feasible is it to tackle this problem in this way? I mean, the companies involved, like Meta, readily admit, they have many, many caveats in their blog posts and announcements about this, that image labeling only works if all the major players actually do it. It's easy, apparently, to remove labels and watermarks, and it's not possible today to identify all AI generated content. Like, for instance, I think largely this is happening right now with image generation, whereas video and audio are lagging behind. So, how do you view that? And what are your thoughts on how likely this is to actually make an impact?
It, I mean, the way I look at this is it's critical that they're doing something in a unified way, or apparently unified way, where they're trying to find ways to address this. I think it's authentic. Like, I think that they truly do realize this is going to be a major problem and they are trying to find some solutions. But it does appear that even this unified approach has massive limitations. So, you mentioned the metadata can be removed. People can just take screenshots of things and spread the screenshots.
Mhm.
You can even take a screen recording of something and spread it, and like it appears real. Like, so there's going to be limitations on a technical side. Then you need the social networks to be willing to detect and flag and remove this content. So we saw, the Taylor Swift example with Twitter X, where it was like 48 hours before they did anything about fake content that they knew was fake content that was spreading. So even when they know it, they still have to do something about it.
Mhm.
So then you're reliant on the distribution channels to do something about the fact that this content is real and that it's not just whatever we want to say. It's like freedom of speech, that it's like whatever, people are allowed to create deep fakes and spread them. People are making arbitrary decisions around this stuff. And then you deal with the fact that there's a whole bunch of open source capabilities. Like, whatever Sora enables, 3 to 6 months behind it is going to be some open source model that can do the exact same thing, and they're not going to care. And so I feel like we have to make these efforts. The more people that are involved, the better. The more brain power and computing power that is going to solving this, it's good, but I don't think any of it is going to solve this in a very uniform way. And that goes back to what you and I talk about all the time, is like the only true way to address this is through AI literacy, is to make people aware that this stuff exists and it's possible to develop very real looking videos and images and audio, and that they can't trust what they see online, that the people have to be able to vet things. But that is a monumental task. Like,
Mm.
we live in a society where people want to believe what fits within their purview of the world, their political beliefs, the religious beliefs, whatever it is, whatever they want validation for, they will believe anything that validates their beliefs. And so if people can create images and videos and text and audio that validates what they want to be true, it doesn't matter to them if it was AI generated. They don't even want to know. They're just like, I just want to ignore that. And so I don't see a solution to that in society anytime soon. And so I think it's important that the technical side is doing what they're doing. I think it's important that more people drive AI literacy throughout society. And combined, I think that's the best we're going to get. But just people have to accept that there is no solution to this. Like, we are going to live moving forward in a society filled with misinformation, disinformation, and synthetic media that is spread through social networks, regardless of what those social networks try and do to stop it. Um, this is just the world we're going to live in. And I think we just have to kind of like accept that and start doing our part with our own kids, our own family, schools,
Mm.
businesses, like wherever you can influence. I think we just need to do our part to try and raise awareness around this and get people to be more responsible about how they consume and share information. Do you have any other thoughts on that, Mike? Like, I don't know what else to do. I really feel like that is the only real answer.
Yeah, I completely agree because, I don't want to pick on Meta here, but we're basically asking an organization that has routinely failed to regulate content on its platform adequately to now regulate this at scale. So I appreciate very much what they're doing, and I'm glad we're doing something. But at the end of the day, our ability to outrun this is impossible. So I think you just have to accept that we need to change the paradigm in our own mind
Right.
about what is real. Basically, move forward, assuming nothing you see online is real until verified. But that education, I almost wonder if it would be helpful at some point, like an industry association or something that's like running ads about this stuff, right? There
Yeah,
needs to be
for
some
sure.
public service announcements
I
around
agree.
what this technology is capable of. I want to see a Super Bowl ad that
Yeah,
educates people about this.
yeah, I agree, and I think, like, just as we're talking about this, like, I don't even know that like legal solutions are the answer, because
Mhm.
you could get into like, is, and this has been already I think litigated, but like, are the social networks responsible? Do they have a liability for the spread of misinformation that does harm, the spread
Mhm.
of deepfakes that does harm? Can they be financially liable, criminally liable? I don't know. Um, but I don't even know that that's going to solve it. And I think that depending on which political party is in office, like again, when we speak politically, it's like general awareness of like how the United States government works. Um, I think the motivation to do something about this is going to vary based on who's in office for 4 years,
Right.
and so I don't even think that's the solution. So yeah, I do. I think, I'd love to see not only this C2PA with all these companies buying, but I like your idea of like, you as part of this, like each of you needs to put in $10 million for a public awareness campaign around synthetic
Right.
media. Like that,
Right.
I think that's a great idea, Mike. I think like, put your money behind this as well as your technical prowess, and let's actually try and change the understanding across society, because we're going to run out of time before the next election cycle. We're in the next election cycle already.
Yeah.